Real Nerds is a proud partner of the Denver Podcast Network. In the shadow of the mountains,
we speak.
Hello, everybody. I'm JD Lopez, the host of Left Hand Right Brain. It's a free-flowing, wide-ranging conversation that I have with artists doing interesting and creative things here in Denver and beyond. We talk about their personal stories, break down their creative process, and what motivates them. Spoiler alert, it's mostly spite. We talk about all these things and more while kicking back, cracking wise, and always having a good time. You can find old episodes and everything you need to know at lefthandrightbrainpod.com.
Oh, hi, podcast listeners. There's many ways you can listen to the Real Nerds podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can also subscribe on Stitcher Radio. You want to send us a Twitter message? You can do that. It's so easy, at Real Nerds. Like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. You can visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com, where there'll be a lot of articles for you to not only read, but to listen to our previous shows. You can also call us, 720-6nerds5. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Jonathan Tiersten from The Perfect House and Sleepaway Camp, and you are listening to the Real Nerds Podcast.
Welcome to the Real Nerds Podcast, unofficially the official podcast of Denver Comic-Con 2018 and beyond. I am a host, James Hart. Oh man, I said my last name. Shit.
You're in trouble now.
Cut that out. I am joined as sometimes by
Zach
and
Brad.
And Ryan is not here out of protest because we have to talk about the Venom trailer this week. So he was like, dude, I just can't. He's like, I'll cry too much. It's so insulting. It has so much venom in it. And it causes so much venom in him. Oh, see what I did there? See what I did?
I didn't watch it, so I don't know what
oh,
you're
no,
talking about.
It was, venom like, anger. Like venom, right?
Why don't you make a Bane reference while you're at it?
A Bing reference?
Bane.
No.
Because
I see what you're saying. Yeah, like it's really...
Spider-Man!
It really, incurs his... Bane.
Wait a minute. Tom Hardy played Bane...
Oh my goodness. You genius.
But there's
anyway,
no venom in that movie.
Every week we go see a movie or stay home and see a movie and podcast our experience to the world. This week we saw the Cloverfield Paradox. Oops, we dropped this into Netflix, Bad Robot movie that came out after the Super Bowl last week. So we'll talk about that and tell people whether or not they should go see it, and then we'll play a trailer. And then we'll talk about it, and we'll spoil it. And this is definitely one that we can spoil. So, just be aware before we get to that point.
Yep.
If you've heard the trailer and you're still listening and you didn't see the movie, it's there. You've been warned.
I didn't watch the trailer. Was it a short one? I know
it
was
on
Super Bowl. So.
Are you chewing gum on the show?
Yeah, he's terrible. It's the most audible and obnoxious thing he could possibly be doing. But, nobody's listening anyway except my mom. So, and Ryan,
edit
he's
it
not
later.
Here. That's true. Yeah, you have to listen to it. Yeah. Well, anyway, so we're going to talk about that. Before that, we're going to talk about what's coming out on Blu-ray and movie news and whatever else we've been watching. Zach will probably ramble on about some porn that he watched this week, just like he did last week.
I watched one involving cookies.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all of that's going to happen. But first...
Cookies and milk.
Brad, take us around town.
Hey, film buddies, follow me around Denver.
This weekend at the Esquire, the midnight movie is the U.S. theatrical premiere of the 2004 anime cult classic, Mind Game, in Japanese with English subtitles.
Oh.
It looks bananas. There's a crazy blue dude running with a glowing foot, and then he's being followed by some purple tiger.
Yes. Purple tiger.
Yeah. So there's that.
I hope that the purple tiger should start off as a statue and then or like a
Come to life.
Yeah, it's like a jade carving or something, and then it comes to life and chases people down and attacks them.
Do you just want anime gargoyles?
Yes,
Okay.
I just want regular gargoyles.
Okay.
Basically all the time.
Okay, I'll call Disney or
Please.
Buena Vista Home Entertainment, whoever put it in.
Yeah, man. How has that not had a movie yet? How is there
know.
not a Gargoyles movie?
I don't remember the show that well. Like, I remember watching it, but...
Yeah. Sorry, Brad, go ahead.
And then beyond that, next weekend is The Room and Rocky Horror Picture Show again.
Cool.
And then the following weekend after that is The Neverending Story.
Oh.
So that'll be back.
I've never seen that.
Wow.
It's okay.
I don't think I'd like it.
I have not seen it since being a child, so I imagine it might be another scenario of better in my mind.
It's like it's a Flight of the Navigator. Where like, oh man, the Flight of the Navigator is so cool, and then when you're like 20, you go back and watch it on your own, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh man, what's wrong with me?
Yep.
And then
It's not even like, at least with Explorers, some people like the first half better than the second, and vice versa. But like with Flight of the Navigator, it starts and you're like, this is cool, and then it's just boring.
And then the last thing this weekend is, I think, the final weekend of Evil Dead the Musical at the Bug.
Oh, cool.
And I got to watch it last weekend, and it is fantastic.
Were you in the splatter zone?
I was not in the splatter zone.
Oh, okay.
No, I was.
How much blood is it really? Is it a lot?
Not a lot. It's a couple super soakers being shot at you periodically throughout the show.
Oh, that's pretty good.
I went in thinking, yeah, there'd be buckets of like.
Yeah.
Then when I really thought about it, I was like, who's really going to clean that up?
Yeah, because you're also ruining the theater.
Yeah, I mean, they have the seats covered off, but
okay.
People aren't coming in wearing trash bags, and there's still the floor.
True.
So,
yes.
Yeah,
you don't want it to look like a crime scene when everybody's.
But it's tons of fun, and there's this great gag where the bridge is out in the movie.
Oh.
And in their version, someone keeps forgetting to put the prop bridge out. So in the middle of the scene, they're like, well, we can't go any further. The bridge is out. We can't go any further. The bridge is out. And then some guy comes out from backstage. He's like, motherfucker, like, this is the last time I'm putting this thing out here. Every scene change, you guys forget to put it out. And then he just, like, curses and walks back. And it's great. And overall, it's a lot of fun. The songs are great.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's what's going on around town this week.
Cool.
Sweet.
Well, we like seeing movies at the Alamo Drafthouse when we're here in Denver at either location, Littleton or Sloan's Lake. But I like Sloan's Lake because it's close to my house.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Kevin Smith.
Hi, I'm Leonard Maltin.
Hi, I'm Mark Hamill.
Hi, I'm Elijah Wood.
This is Seth Rogen.
I'm Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
I'm Ron Starr. Welcome to the Alamo Drafthouse.
They have all kinds of stuff going on this week.
Sounds like it's
How's Sloan's Lake close to your house?
No, did I say Sloan's Lake?
Yeah.
I meant Littleton. I like the bar at Sloan's Lake. It's huge, and it's comfortable, and you can hang out.
There's a portion of it you can go outside.
Yeah. Anyway, at the Littleton location this week, you can see Magical Girl Lyrical Nanaha Reflection subtitled. That's on Tuesday the 13th. So probably by the time you've heard this, you've already missed it. Geeks Who Drink is on Wednesday. And then Dread Central presents The Lodgers on Thursday the 15th. Film Geeks Assemble is presenting Black Panther with PCC. I don't know what that is.
Who are the film geeks?
I don't know. The fuck are these people?
Time to do some research.
Their name is not as punny as ours.
Do we have to take them out, boss?
I have to have a
I think this
conversation with
one.
Steve.
Oh, this is the pop culture classroom one too. Holy shit! What is this shit? Anyway, we'll go fight some people. On Friday the 16th, we get the Mile High movie roast of The Phantom.
Slam Evil.
Oh, Slam Evil.
I still love that and the Shadow episodes of How Did This Get Made?
Yeah.
Even though I adore The Shadow.
The Shadow's a great film.
It's
a decent film.
It's a decent film.
The Shadow has 3 acts.
The Shadow has problems.
All right.
But like Lone Ranger, I'll still support it because it's based on radio.
No.
I'm that tethered to it.
Tuesday the 13th at the Sloan's Lake location, you've got Tammy and the T-Rex. Yep. I don't know what that is.
I still think that'd be a great zoo morning radio
sorry.
show.
It's a Video Vortex. You should totally go see that.
Oh, damn.
If it's a Video Vortex and it's called Tammy and the T-Rex, oh my goodness. This woman is about to get eaten by a T-Rex. I bet that's Tammy. There's a crazy dude with a broken nose. This looks awesome. Okay, go see Tammy and the T-Rex at the Sloan's Lake location. RMCAD is presenting Blade on Wednesday the 14th. How do you pronounce that? How is it? RMCAD. RMCAD?
Rocky Mountain it's an acronym, so it's Rocky
No, I know.
Mountain College.
But what do people say when they say the acronym? Do they
RMCAD, but you really should just be saying RMCAD.
Okay, so RMCAD is okay. Okay. RMCAD. RMCAD is presenting Blade on Wednesday the 14th. The Film Geeks Assemble is also showing Black Panther with Pop Culture Classroom on Thursday the 15th.
As far as I can tell, it's just their name for like that type of showing.
Yeah,
like
it's
Tough Guy
just
Cinema.
Yeah, right.
But still, Steve.
I know. Seriously, give us a call. We'll give you a better name.
What the hell are you doing?
The Barfly on Friday the 16th is doing Hands of Midnight. I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool. Hands of Midnight. It happens at 10 o'clock, which is too early.
Yeah. Almost 2 hours too early.
Here, let me see what it says. Oh, analog electronic music. So it's like a band. That's cool. So it's actually, there's no cover. At 8 p.m., they've got a guy named Roger Green playing, and then 9 p.m. is The Hands of Midnight, and then Church Fire, which is an unfortunate title. Gonna burn down a church. Anyway, so that's cool. And what am I missing next Sunday? Oh, and then Sunday, the 18th, they are showing The Magnificent Seven and
Which
Dumb
one?
and Dumber, the original, but I'll open it to confirm. And then Chasing Train. Let's see what that one is. I should have looked at these
might
before.
be a
no,
Coltrane.
It's the new one, which is great.
Oh, okay.
That's also good. It's the new Magnificent
I haven't
Seven.
seen it yet.
You should see that.
It's on Prime.
It's great. No matter what Ryan thinks.
I mean, Ryan told me it was made under another title called "We Got the Gold," but
he actually didn't even go. Much like when we saw Haywire together, he just showed up late and then walked out early. So he didn't actually know what he was talking about on that movie.
Okay.
Anyway, that is what's happening at the Alamo. You should get some tickets and go to some stuff because it's cool. You can get beers and shit.
Yep.
And eat food.
You can get pizza.
You can get pizza.
You get loaded fries.
Yeah.
They have hummus.
I am sad though. Now that I'm on keto again, like I basically can't eat anything there. Like the only thing I could eat would be their wings, but they're buffalo wings. Like they don't.
Right.
I guess I could get the wings and just tell them to like, hey, please don't put buffalo sauce
what
on
are you
them.
what are you on? Like
Keto. It means I'm eating like no carbs and high fat.
Oh, okay.
I could eat a salad there, but
okay,
that's not fun.
Okay. Cool.
So what I'm saying is they need more just like big slab of like pork belly. If they would just cook me a piece of pork belly for dinner, I would be happy. Like pork belly tacos, but without the tacos.
Give me the Flintstone special.
Yeah, basically that's
Big
what I
half
eat
rack
now.
of rib. It overweighs my tray.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, Zach, what do you want to do next? What segment should
Why
we
don't
do?
do some DVDs and Blu-rays.
Okay. DVD releases and Blu-rays. The big release this week, no matter what anybody else says, is the Criterion release of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, son. I get mine in tomorrow.
Which is
I get mine tomorrow.
I like this cover.
And
It's
I know
really
Ryan's
good.
got his coming tomorrow too. So
Yeah.
he and I are just gonna text each other like dorks, going like, "Hey, did you see this feature?"
It's pretty great. Okay. Roman J. Israel Esquire is out on Blu-ray tomorrow.
From what I've heard, the inexplicable Oscar-nominated Roman J. Israel Esquire.
Yeah,
It's
I
Denzel
didn't
though. It's
know about this movie until he got nominated for an Oscar.
It's
which is maybe my
It's
fault.
from the director of Nightcrawler, which makes me want to see it, even though it's gotten terrible reviews.
Yeah,
because I liked Nightcrawler. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, I love Nightcrawler.
Jake Gyllenhaal creeping out Rene Russo at dinner.
Yeah,
it should have gotten her an Oscar nomination.
I love that movie. Wonder is out on 4K this week with Julia Roberts and Owen Wilson.
And Henry Jarvis's arch nemesis Jacob Tremblay.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's the little astronaut boy.
He's the Wonder Kid.
Yeah, he's just so smart. He's just so smart.
I know he knows how to navigate Hollywood.
There's a film called God's Own Country, which just sounds familiar, but I don't remember where this is from. Anyway, it's from last year. It's out on
Hey, man,
Blu-ray.
God can't own a country, man.
I don't know how to describe the look I just had to give you.
I
for
like when I
how bad
disappoint
that
you.
was.
I don't know why, but I do.
The first season of The Deuce from HBO is out this week, which has James Franco in it and Maggie Gyllenhaal. And I might look at this. This is kind of cool.
David Simon's the creator. So.
Yeah. And they just announced that James Franco is going to be back for season 2. So
They did?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, I thought he was on the outs or something, but
yeah, he's an interesting one. Anyway, Silence of the Lambs Criterion is out tomorrow as well, so you can check that out.
I want to order that, but I already ordered Rebecca, so I need to not spend a bunch of money till next week.
The thing I don't like about this cover is that if you go back to the original cover of the Silence of the Lambs and you look really close at the moth, they were really like the moths. The skull shape is actually made up of women,
right?
And they all they did was they like blew up a big, it's like a Rorschach test in blood. That then is the moth, and it kind of misses that element, which is too bad.
That's why I like Scream Factory sometimes more than Criterion, because on the reverse, the reverse side gives you the original theatrical.
Yeah,
Criterion don't do that.
Well, yeah, and Shout Factory like put some effort into hiring like a really cool artist to do some stuff, and sometimes the Criterions are great, and sometimes they're like meh. Warner Brothers Archives is putting out Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
I really wish Scream could have gotten that somehow, but Warner Brothers doesn't like giving their titles away.
Yeah.
That sucks. Because that would be a fun, like, to see a couple documentaries on the making of that or a commentary or something, because it went through a shitty production. At one point, Peter Jackson was attached to it, so like it would be interesting.
We're almost, with one exception, just talking about trash for the rest of the segment, by the way.
Awesome.
Hellraiser Judgment is out on Blu-ray this week, which is a movie from this year. So if you thought to yourself, oh, I didn't see that come through theaters, that's because it didn't.
You know what? It's okay, because that means Clive Barker gets a check, so he doesn't have to worry about, like, paying bills. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Eaten Alive.
Toby Hooper.
From Severin. No, not Toby Hooper's Eaten Alive. This is a film by Umberto Lenzi. It has a naked woman, like an...
cannibal movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a naked woman on the front about to get, like, her neck slit by some kind of, like, Aboriginal folk. She's just super naked.
Like that Green
This is a photo.
Like that Green Inferno movie?
No. This one's got way more boobs on the cover.
This one looks like more fun? I actually like Green Inferno. So
the blood spattered bride. Man, that's really hard to say.
That sounds familiar.
It is. I believe this movie gets referenced in discussions about Kill Bill.
Oh.
I'm trying to see here whether
Blood
or not that's
spattered
confirmed
bride.
here, yes.
That's one of the names of the chapters in Kill Bill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't talk about it here, but anyway, this is from Mondo Macabro.
Macabro.
And the tagline is "The honeymoon was over and the terror began," which is pretty decent. All right, now we're getting into our Shout Factory releases. The biggest and second best Blu-ray release of this week is Drag Me to Hell from Shout Factory.
Yep.
This cover is dope.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
It's pretty damn cool.
I haven't watched Drag Me to Hell in so long. That movie's so cool.
I need to watch it again before I get the new. Well, I guess I'll just get this Shout one.
I love spoilers for Drag Me to Hell, but I love that the title of the film is a spoiler for Drag Me to Hell. Anyway,
I just wish she had said the name of the movie.
Yeah. If right there at the end she was like,
they're dragging me
I'm
to
gonna
hell.
get dragged to hell. I'm being dragged to hell.
Or like,
I mean, he could have gotten away with that.
Somebody comes up to Justin Long after she's dragged to hell. What happened to her? She was dragged to hell.
Oh man. Oh, that would have been great. Oh, Justin Long. Shit. Halo, The Fall of Reach is getting a Shout Factory release, so all the Halo fans are like, "Wee." I guess. I don't know.
All the Halo fans say, what?
Also from Shout Factory, Night of the Seagulls. Okay. There's a lot going on here.
Describe it to me.
The tagline here is, their pagan god has given his command. 7 nights 7 victims, 7 human hearts.
What does this have to do with seagulls?
Basically, like, I don't know what it has to do with seagulls. There's an army of dudes on horses, and they all look like Skeletor. And then here in the foreground, there's this Skeletor, and he's hanging. He's got just a woman in his arms, and she's wearing some semi-transparent white clothes. And they're clearly going to carve out her heart.
Okay.
And she's probably one of 7 mostly unclothed females whose hearts will be claimed.
Is seagull a metaphor for woman?
I don't know.
I don't know.
No, it's probably like it's probably like the name of the group, or like they worship seagulls or something.
That's a dumb name for a cult.
Oh no, it's just the Knight Okay, the Knight Templars, which I don't think is how I think it's called the Knights Templar, but okay, the Knight Templars return in this 4th installment in the Blind Dead series. On this outing, the Templars haunt a fishing village where they rise 7 nights every 7 years to claim their sacrificial offering in return for the safety of the townspeople. So this is the 4th film, and it's called Night of the Seagulls. I don't get it, but check it out.
They're in a fishing town, so maybe there's seagulls at night.
The next one is a release from Code Red. Never heard of them before.
Oh, they're like Synapse and Severin and stuff.
Oh, okay,
like
cool.
Shout Factory.
This movie's called The Last Hunter. This is a pretty dope looking cover. It looks like, you remember like in the early video game days of like 1980, like home video games of like 1989, when you get that cool box art on stuff.
Yeah.
This looks kind of like that. The brutal story of one man's fight for survival behind enemy lines. There's some helicopters chasing him. It's pretty dope.
Sweet.
Shoot. And then I had one completely out of order, and unfortunately it's the last one, which is super anticlimactic. The Ballad of Lefty Brown, which is a film from last year that has Bill Pullman shooting a gun and Jim Caviezel looking sad.
There was posters for that at the Littleton Alamo.
It's got Peter Fonda in it. That's cool.
Good. Does he surf in it?
Nope, I think he's just cool.
But Peter Fonda's only cool when he's surfing.
That's bullshit. Peter Fonda is just cool, period.
But he's cooler when he's surfing.
No, I'm going to throw this fucking mic at your head.
Escape from L.A., guys. It actually happened.
Yeah, I think that's everything.
Sweet.
Unless Brad's going to tell me, like, hey, you missed.
No, I've been distracted by this Predator poster.
I thought you weren't listening to me. Whoa. I did miss something. There's a movie out this week called Don't Fuck in the Woods. Sorry, it's actually Don't F and then 3 stars in the woods.
Oh, that sucks.
This looks weird.
This is a documentary about a sign.
The best movie title ever has been created, Dread Central. That's the pull quote on the front. Literally, Dread Central's pull quote is just, man, the title of this movie's good.
Yeah, we've had some great titles over the past years, like Cabin in the Woods, Get Out, and now Don't Fuck in the Woods.
I'm just going to send this
The horror films are trying to send you a message, guys.
I'm just going to send this to Ryan and tell him he has to buy it because I can't.
It's on Amazon, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit, I might buy it.
No. Don't do that. No, don't do that. Make Ryan buy it.
Okay.
No. No one else should spend money on Don't Fuck in the Woods.
Is that Ryan's punishment for something? He's like,
no,
yeah,
it's just,
you've got to buy Don't Fuck in the Woods and have it on your credit card statement.
I want one of us to vet this piece of shit before, like, man. Anyway,
you're already on the hook for Fugitive Girls, but imagine if
I already bought Fugitive Girls.
Imagine, I know, but so imagine your fiance is like looking at the shelf and she already sees Fugitive Girls. Then she opens up a package and it says Don't Fuck in the Woods.
Oh, she was here when I got it,
James.
The cover for Don't Fuck in the Woods is terrible. It's basically like some dude in his underwear, and the shot is basically the I Spit on Your Grave shot of just like his ass, but then he's holding an axe, and you're just like, this is just awkward. It's weird. I don't like it.
Oh, I learned an interesting piece of trivia on that. I Spit on Your Grave poster where she's like in her underwear and whatnot.
Yeah.
The original one, it's Demi Moore's ass.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
she was 18, needed a job, and they paid her money to just photograph her butt in underwear.
Yep. That's not new.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it was the 70s.
that is what the Blu-ray releases are this week. So, Brad, what are we doing next? Are we doing news, or are we doing what we've been watching?
Let's do news.
Okay.
It's real news.
It's sad.
All of it's sad.
Well, no, just some of it. Johan Johansson died this week at the age of 48. They have not released how yet.
Then it was murder.
Hopefully.
Oh.
I hope it was murder or like accidental drugs. I just hope he didn't kill himself. This is a guy like I wish I had talked about more on the show. Like I saw his name and I was like, oh, Johan. Oh no.
What is he known for?
I just was excited to see his name. So he's done a lot of the Denis Villeneuve films. So he did Arrival and Prisoners and Sicario and The Theory of Everything. Like he was a guy who was like up and coming.
Wasn't he working on Blade Runner but then got replaced by Hans Zimmer?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was him, or it may have been there was another guy. Unless it was the Swedish guy.
I don't know.
Well,
anyway,
I mean, they're both Swedish.
He did some other stuff, not just with Denis Villeneuve Ice. So
yeah, he was working on the that movie Mandy with Nicolas Cage at the time. And then did he do? Oh yeah, he did Mother.
He did the Mary Magdalene film that we're supposed to get with Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh yeah, right.
Don't know if we're getting that because it's owned by a company that's currently in the state of fuckery.
Yeah.
But I think that would
hopefully,
be his last
hopefully his scores for those films are done. It'll be interesting. Really sad though. I genuinely like one of those guys that when his name came up in credits, I'd be like, oh shit, that's gonna be good. Because he was, certainly I put new in quotes because A, he was 48, and B, like he's around for a few years, but like was doing a real solid job. So really a shame. He was in Berlin at the time of his death.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Maybe
just
he
gonna
fought
add that in
zombie
there.
Hitler.
Yeah, so hopefully it was nice, I guess. I don't know, whatever, moving on. Reggie Cathy also died this week at the age of 59.
Yeah, from The Wire.
And, and House of Cards. You know, like if you watch House of Cards, he's the guy who owns like the barbecue shop that Kevin Spacey was always going to. Just one of those really great character actors that you saw all over the place.
He was only like 59, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was 59.
Yeah.
Let's see what they got a whole list here. He was in Funny Farm and Born on the 4th of July and What About Bob and The Mask and Airheads and Tank Girl and Seven and American Psycho and
I remember him in Seven. Yeah.
Yeah. He was in Oz and Person of Interest. Anyway, a lot of different stuff. Really shame. Of course, this one I didn't see. He had cancer. That's right. So that's too bad.
Yeah, they came in threes this week.
Yeah,
because
unfortunately,
I think you have the next one.
Oh no, I don't.
John Gavin died.
Oh,
John Gavin was he was in Spartacus and a lot of other like films throughout the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. But I think his biggest claim to fame for us geeks would probably be he was Sam Loomis in the first Psycho from Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
He was the OG Sam Loomis before we turned him into a crazy British doctor. No.
Yeah.
But he opens the movie. He has the first line, which is you didn't even eat your lunch. And it starts this amazing, awkward conversation between a man and a woman who are trying to find a way to carry on their relationship when he's got to pay alimony and she's stuck at a dead-end job.
Yeah.
And that sends her into stealing some money and then going to a motel. And that's when cinema changed, guys. He also gets to wrestle Norman Bates to the ground at the end.
Yeah.
In the mother suit.
It's a good one.
Yeah. He will be missed.
Yeah.
He was a good-looking dude, but apparently Hitchcock
handsome as heck.
Hitchcock apparently did not want him in the movie.
Too handsome.
Yeah.
He said, no one will be attracted to these attractive young ladies I have if I put this attractive man in here.
I do not think that you are attractive enough. You need to be a bulbous British man.
There you go.
Good evening. John Gavin.
So we'll just sort of... Hey, Brad, do you want to cut the trailer for Venom in here?
Does it have dialogue? Or is
no,
it
it's
music?
terrible.
Is it all
it's
music?
Mostly just... So we got the trailer for Venom this week.
AKA 2 splashes of milk.
The weirdest thing about it is it's basically all just voiceover and then shots of Tom Hardy walking away from the camera in like wrestler style, you know? And then
I like that's the thing
voice. I watched it twice, and I'm pretty sure it's Tom Hardy talking, but he's doing this weird voice. Like, remember how it was hard to understand the Bane voice? This is like an easy to understand, but it's hard to believe it's coming from Tom Hardy voice. Like, like if you meet somebody you only know from radio, and you're like, how is that voice coming out of that person?
Yeah.
Like, it's this weird inflection. It's very bizarre. Very soft-spoken.
But if you're addicted to listening to Tom Hardy deliver monologues, get ready, because
guess
this will fill your quota for the year.
There's no Venom in the trailer. There's some symbiote in like a tube, and then you get a lot of shots of it's mostly, it does actually look a lot like an indie film, because most of the film is just him looking concerned in an MRI machine, in the way that you might expect from like a sad Alexander Payne film where, like, this guy's got brain cancer. And, like, so the whole trailer is just him in an MRI, like, going like, oh, man, I got brain cancer.
Michelle
like,
Williams looks concerned at one point.
Yeah, like, oh, no, my boyfriend has brain cancer. And then, like, clearly somebody's going to shoot him with some venom, and he's going to be like, oh, no, now I have to stop bad guys. I don't know. It's weird. And then especially to get, like, then as it fades into this, like, title treatment that is this weird metallic, not great looking font. Like, I thought that was fake fan font. Like, when I first saw the poster, I was like, that fan sucks. That's terrible. There's no way that, oh shit, that's actually what their title treatment looks like. That's gross. It's very like 1998.
Despite it sucking, I mean, as we've learned from last year, Sony manages to pull financial miracles out of their butt. So,
hey, it might be great. It's just not a great trailer.
I could care less. Like,
yeah.
Now that I know it's real, I really care way less than I did before.
To be fair, we don't know it's real yet until we see Venom in a suit.
That's true.
Like, at this point, not real. Might just be a film where somebody tries to cure Tom Hardy's brain cancer with some kind of space symbiote, and maybe it doesn't work, and then Michelle Williams is sad, and they have a sad conversation on the side of the street or something.
And then they walk away to the song everyone knows.
Yeah. And then there's a house fire.
Yeah.
Or a church fire.
Or a church fire.
Michael Fassbender is going to star in Kung Fury. For some reason.
That's weird.
What is he doing? Between that and, like, spearheading that Assassin's Creed movie, what is he doing?
Money.
No.
He's getting paid for these things, man.
Yeah, he's getting paid for them, but...
I didn't know David Sandberg was friends with Michael Fassbender.
He needs to buy a second home to house his humongous dick.
I'm amazed. Maybe it's great. Hopefully it's great.
Maybe he thinks if he gets paid for this, he can give Ridley the money to do the third Prometheus movie.
Yeah. I guess there's like some speculation about whether or not that the Disney purchase is going to go through, right? Because there's some stuff going on, but whatever.
Yeah.
Until something happens, there's nothing to talk about. There's a lot of Star Wars news this week.
Yeah. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with all the Solo stuff. Okay. So, it feels to me like Disney probably... Here's my reading on it. I think that in the wake of Last Jedi criticism, most of which unwarranted, in my opinion, and them sort of reacting to that and trying to be like, okay, well, we got to make sure that the franchise is still safe. And then also just because they know how much bad word of mouth is around the Solo thing, there was just a flood. After the trailer came out, there was just a flood of different pieces of news. So the first big thing was there were a number of interviews that happened where Kathleen Kennedy, Ron Howard, and Lord Miller all talked a bit more openly about the firing and why they were removed. The story now, and honestly this kind of makes some sense, is that they are, because those guys' way of working is so improv heavy, the weight of the entire project was, at least in Kathleen Kennedy's mind, too much for them, and they were running behind, and they were going to, end up going over budget and not being able to really keep up with like all of the demands of such a big project, and it was just going to not work.
Yeah.
And their way of working, just that was the way they wanted to work, and things just sort of didn't jive right. Everybody's like comments on it were all, of course, very political and nice and all of that. I think it's a believable, if sugar-coated version of the story, obviously.
Yeah.
This is it's a pretty big thing. Like, this doesn't happen that often, so
yeah,
I'm sure it was a lot messier than it sounds.
Yeah.
Because you don't just, I mean, basically, Ron Howard was already being talked to by the time that Lord Miller were finally fired, clearly, because he was brought on immediately. So just interesting, you know?
Right.
So in addition to playing some Damage Control, I guess, there were some stories that came out about how the Han Solo film was in production with George Lucas and Lawrence Kasdan before Disney even bought it. So all you nerds who are so worried about us fucking up your old series, like, nah, George Lucas is still helping. Oh, and he came by and helped Ron Howard on the set and was like consulting and being nice and like making sure everything's great. Since when the fuck is George Lucas the person we could pull out of the closet to be like, hey guys, these movies are gonna work out just great?
The scene is Ron Howard sitting in the director's chair going, gosh, I don't know what to do. I wish I could have some help. Hey,
right.
Hey, Ron, how you doing? Remember me? I directed you on American Graffiti.
And I'm sure it is one of those things where it's like, okay, it's Ron Howard. They're friends. He's going to call and be like, hey, come by the set and I want to talk to you about it. I'm sure that did happen. It's just weird that then the last thing as far as this is concerned is that they also talked about the fact that Harrison Ford was there and was consulting and helping advise, like, and sort of making sure the spirit of his character was there. It's just a lot of Disney putting out some PR information to be like, hey guys, we did our homework and we did a good job and we went and prayed at the right temples to make sure that like your shit that you care about is going to be respected. And it's all the shit I don't care about.
Listen, I'm just a guy who's making movies in my basement that only I can see. But I think that you should do this shot with the Millennium Falcon because of A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
But again, that's just me.
Hey,
good luck, and I really hope to see Apollo 14.
Yeah, I can't wait
if that's actually going to happen.
I can't wait for this movie to like not be great, and then everybody blames it on Ron Howard and says like, "Hey, there should be a George Lucas cut of this film." He had a vision. Lawrence Kasdan.
There is a cut of that, but you can only see it in my basement. James, want to come down and watch the movies I made in my basement?
No, George Lucas, stop inviting me to your basement. It's creepy down there. Never vacuum. It smells like cat poop.
I have all my art films from USC.
No one wants to see them. You know what? Shocker. THQ, not a great film.
THX, get it right.
It's not great.
1138.
I know, it's not great.
Stars a guy named Donald Pleasance.
I know.
You might have heard of him.
It's not great.
Yeah, I know.
Just not.
That's why Warner Brothers dumped it.
Anyway, and then in addition to that, Disney was like, hey man, we're also making like a shit ton more TV shows. So they hired a bunch of different people who I won't go through all of to go spin up different TV shows for their streaming service.
Sure. They're entitled to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
There's also some other stuff. So there's a Don Quixote from the guy who made from the guy who wrote the Hunger Games.
But we have to get Terry Gilliam's first.
Well, yeah, but this is like either a TV show or a movie version of it. That is
a TV show for Don Quixote actually might be really cool.
Yeah, the woman who directed The Keeping Room is making a movie for them.
Cool. I hope this thing isn't too expensive.
They're remaking Three Men and a Baby and Sword in the Stone.
What? Well, Sword in the Stone we knew.
Yeah.
But Three Men and a Baby?
They're not going to have any R-rated movies on their streaming service.
Well, that's bullshit.
Well, okay, name a Disney R-rated movie that they're going to really care about.
No Country for Old Men. Oh, wait, no, that's Paramount Vantage and Miramax after the Disney split.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction. It's made under Disney tutelage.
Yeah, but they're not going to put that on the service. Like, the whole point of the service is to sell it to every family in the country.
That is true.
It makes total sense.
If it's $60.
Because if you can do everything that's not rated R, you can put Jurassic Park on there. You can put everything on there.
But when the Fox deal goes through those, and then that means Deadpool won't be on there.
Yeah, but it means that they're just going to go put that on Netflix.
Okay, cool.
Or on Hulu, which they own 2/3 of. Right? Like, they have plenty of I
own everything.
And then, yeah. Anyway, that's that. Something Cloverfield 4, something. We'll talk about that later. And then Black Dynamite. is not really Black Dynamite 2. It's Outlaw Johnny Black. It is a Western Black Dynamite.
I'm in.
Which sounds great.
So it's Blazing Saddles 2.
It's no. It is.
No.
It is better than if they had just made a Black Dynamite 2. Like, this sounds perfect. Like, take that same sort of,
The way they're kind of doing what Edgar Wright and that team did is they went and did like different genre send-ups.
Yes.
Into the Cornetto trilogy. So this might be a blaxploitation trilogy.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say this is the Black trilogy.
They could do a horror film for the third one, like a Blackula.
Yeah,
maybe.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you could do a lot more with it, right? Like, yeah. This sounds great. I'm excited.
Yep.
I just want to see some of the early photos and stuff like that. Like,
I did that before I came back from the moon, bitch.
Man, so good. Yeah, that's gonna be great.
I still maintain Black Dynamite has my favorite evil plot by a bad guy of all time.
It's so good. I need to go back and rewatch
So
that
clever.
film. It's been a long time.
Then he fights Nixon. It's awesome.
Is there like a really awesome Blu-ray version of Black Dynamite?
I think so.
I have it.
Do you have it?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
I will have to order that because I don't own it.
Is it not on Amazon?
It might be. I don't know. I'm just not looking at it right now. Anyway, I think that's news. Unless I missed something. Anyone?
I can't think of anything.
Great.
Yeah.
As long as I didn't offend Brad. That's the only thing that matters.
What?
Oh, you always offend him.
Yeah, it's $14 on Amazon right now.
Sweet. Will do.
Spot.
Cool. So, hey guys, what have you been watching?
So, this is the stuff we've been watching.
Brad, what have you been watching?
It's actually out of stock though, so sorry. Sorry to get
Oh,
hopeless
son
like
of a
that.
bitch.
My life. eBay, here I
Temporarily. What
I
have I
wonder
been
why.
watching?
Maybe because everybody else is doing the same thing I am.
Yeah.
go. They're hearing us.
All right, so I watched Gotham by Gaslight, the new DC animated.
Oh, cool.
Nice. How was it?
Is it good?
It's interesting. It's more of a it's mostly a what would Victorian times look like with Batman in it. So most of the time I'm just looking like, oh, cool, they turned Poison Ivy into this prostitute, and then Catwoman's like a stage star who helps out people in the Narrows on this, like as a vigilante. Hugo Strange is more of a
He's just a regular doctor in that time, which
Right.
is also a horror character.
Yeah. But I was most impressed with like the twist at the end. Because
Spoilers?
the whole time I'm looking for like, okay, well, what's the Joker going to be? Well, clearly the villain's the Joker, right? And then they have Harvey Dent in there being nefarious. Like, oh, it's probably him instead because it's not the Joker.
How is his face screwed up?
It's not. He's a two-faced person.
Oh, yeah, fair.
So while he's friends with Bruce Wayne, he's secretly trying to get Bruce Wayne incarcerated.
Gotcha.
So that he can live his life.
Interesting. What a backstabbing asshole.
Yep. Who else is there? The three Robins are just kind of street urchins that start out, pulling.
Are they like his army of like street urchins that he uses to like escape or help get things done?
By the end,
he calls on Oliver Twist in order to.
Initially, they're grifting some old man in the street, and then Batman comes and stops him. He's like, "Hey, turn your life around."
Yeah.
And then by the end,
turn your life around, grift people for me.
Yeah. So it's more of interesting, just like, oh, here's how they twisted that into.
So it's like David Copperfield, but with Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Gotham by Gaslight.
So the twist is finding out who Joker is,
or who the villain is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's a couple layers deep, so I'm not gonna.
Okay, you'll tell me afterwards.
Yeah, but I was surprised it was the Joker, and then it wasn't Harvey Dent. So that's an interesting way to go.
Would you recommend it, like to somebody like me who we'll watch one of these animated Batman movies every now and then? Is this one I should check out?
Yeah, I think you should watch it.
Okay.
I bought it, but
yeah.
I don't know if it's like you have to buy it.
Okay. Cool.
And I mean, it's based on the I think graphic novel or miniseries comic, so I'm sure you already know what's gonna happen. Like it's really about the twisting the the Batman characters in the Victorian times, and
Yeah.
and then the final twist. And if you know those two things already, it's not going to give you anything new.
Cool.
So
I bet it looks beautiful though.
it looks nice. Yeah, they have some cool things that they do with fire animation.
Does Calendar Man show up? But he's using the Mayan calendar.
I don't think they used the Mayan calendar back then either.
I don't know.
Then I have this sort of fascination with like music bands that like go through style changes throughout
Sure.
their lineage.
Yeah.
And so on Netflix there's a documentary for Chicago.
Oh, sure.
And it's actually, I guess it was a CNN documentary a couple years ago when they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Cool.
But yeah, it's they've released like 31 albums in their, I think, 50 year history of being a
Holy
band.
shit.
And they did one every year when they came out from like, I think 1967 up to like the 80s. Like they produced a band or an album with new songs like every year.
That's efficient.
Yeah, and that kind of workload. And they started out as like a cover band, and they would just do cover songs at bars until they were like, we hate this. We're just going to make our own way, and we're going to play our own songs. And much like Sebastian from La La Land, they would slip in their own songs,
Yeah.
get fired, and then eventually they just did their own act. Yeah, and obviously that kind of schedule, making a new album every year, lots of drugs and
Yeah.
stupid behavior, which ultimately led to, I didn't know, the death of their lead guitarist Terry Kath. Was playing around with a gun, shot himself in the head.
Oh my god.
So
That's terrible. This is why you don't play with guns on coke.
Yep.
That's why you just don't do the drugs, period. And
Yeah, if you just
buy
don't
the
do the
gun.
drugs.
He was like, "No, it's fine. Look, the clip is out of the gun," and forgot there was one chambered. So
Right, yeah.
yeah.
As there usually is.
So yeah, that threw the band into turmoil, and then they got dropped by their label, and they picked up a new producer, and the new producer thought Peter Cetera was the direction the band should go, and because they were desperate for a hit album, they were like, okay, we'll play these songs. He's responsible for stuff like "If You Leave Me Now" and "Hard to Say I'm Sorry." So throughout the 80s, that was a bit of like, hey, we don't like playing these songs for this one guy who was our bassist. So in a rare move, bassist to frontman.
Yeah.
And yeah, in like 85 he bailed, and they haven't done anything since. In fact, they didn't even play together at the Hall of Fame induction.
Wow.
So
Crazy.
but yeah, I always wondered, like, they were a jam band first, and then they're like adult contemporary top 40.
Yeah.
And I actually saw them play at Red Rocks with Huey Lewis and the News.
No shit.
And they didn't play Cetera songs. So
That's cool though.
yeah, but yeah, it was interesting 50-year career span.
Yeah.
And there's been tons of like band member changes since the 80s. So
Cool.
a lot they don't even go to.
Was that on Netflix or
It
where'd
was
you
on
get it?
Netflix.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe you could be the next member of Chicago, Brad.
And
I think they're good.
what was it? What was it
Without
called
me.
again?
I forget. Like, it was weird because
Oh,
I
okay.
watched it, but didn't after it says like previously watched, I couldn't find it again.
Yeah.
So, but it's like, I think it's Never Too Old or something. The story of Chicago or something.
Now more than ever.
That might be it.
The history of Chicago.
There you go. Now more than ever. Yeah.
Cool. That sounds good.
Yeah. And then I think I'm one episode away from finishing Star Trek Discovery for the season.
Oh snap!
And
Did it get worth it?
it's interesting.
Okay.
It's not groundbreaking like say Next Generation. But the story is interesting enough that I'm following along each week. So
Yeah.
I hope like in season 2 they kind of like challenge. I mean they've done plenty of like challenging character norms and Star Trek tropes in this season, but hopefully more like narratively, like because this season's really, it just seems more about like war and revenge as like and just doing send-ups to Star Trek things like the Mirror Universe. I just hope they go back to exploring like ideas and
Yeah.
shining a mirror on modern times.
Is it is it pretty serialized or is it kind of
it's so
episodic?
serialized.
Okay.
It's each episode connects to the next one directly.
Gotcha.
Like leaves off, starts again. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then the other thing I did was play Rocket League all week, which is a ton of fun. I'm toying with giving out my Wii friend code on the internet right now, or Switch friend code.
Yeah.
Because I want people to play me in my Battle Dome.
That game,
Fury Road.
That game is great.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So
Cool.
that's all I watched.
Sweet. Zach, what have you been watching?
Not as much as I have the past couple of weeks.
Thank God.
But there was something from last week that I wanted to mention that I didn't talk about.
Sure.
Netflix has the new series Dirty Money.
Oh yes,
on
I
it,
keep almost watching that.
So it's a documentary series, and it lasts each episode's about roughly an hour to an hour and 10 minutes, and it's 6 different directors. First one's directed by Alex Gibney, and it's about the Volkswagen situation where they were cheating on their efficiency numbers.
Yeah.
And each episode has a different theme. One's about payday loan scam. There's one about Trump at the end, and it's more about his business dealings. But the Trump episode is not the most interesting one. The one before it is about a big heist of Canadian maple syrup. Because there's a federation of maple syrup distribution in Quebec, Canada, and if you don't play by the federation's rules and you sell outside of their distribution center, you're selling syrup on the black market. Maple syrup is a big deal there. And the only reason I knew about this and was fascinated by it is because they talked about it on Smodcast in the early days.
Huh.
So or maybe not even the early days, maybe as early as 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
On one of their episodes, but they don't Kevin and Moj didn't talk about it
in detail.
Yeah. So this was interesting. I will say we don't have the nerdies don't have a best documentary short subject category, rightfully so, because how often are we seeing those?
Yeah.
But I would give this the nerdy right away for it because it is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen that's under an hour.
That's cool.
So it's pretty good. And yeah, so I would check it out. I watched a couple of things on Netflix because they were just there. First one was Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I hadn't seen in forever. That movie still rocks. Very underrated, I think. What I love about it this time is that I was more focused on the fact that it's not really a horror movie so much as it's a procedural movie that happens to have horrific things in it.
Didn't someone awesome make that movie?
Yeah, Scott Derrickson.
That's right.
Local 303 boy.
Cool.
And then I on Netflix also I saw 24 or well that wasn't on Netflix, sorry. But I saw 24 by 36, which is a movie about movie posters.
Which I don't get because
the
movie
wrong
posters
size.
are 27 by 40.
They explain that because it's not about theatrical movie posters. That's the first 20 minutes. The rest of it's about the screening, the screen print industry that started with Mondo and then kind of blew up into different things. It's more of I would say it's actually more of a Mondo commercial or a commercial for modern graphic artists because that's what it really is. They don't spend a lot of time on the art of movie posters. The Drew Struzan one is a better fit if you're looking for that. This is about the present and the future of movie advertising because essentially they talk about the potential of it being a bubble that'll burst. They talk about how the studios don't want to risk spending the money on good art because then people apparently will think it's a cartoon. If they think if they see it's illustrated, they'll think it's a cartoon. I'm not shitting you. So it was pretty interesting. It wasn't the best documentary I've seen about the movie industry, but it was entertaining enough. I've watched The Purge for the first time.
Oh yeah.
I think that'll definitely go down as a notable horror-ish film, the way a Jason or a Freddy is in terms of this generation, because we don't really have those things outside of Jigsaw. We really don't have those franchises that much anymore. But as far as it as a movie, I think this concept is really good, and I think the script, in terms of the story, is really interesting. I think that it is very choppily edited. It's a very short film. It's only about an hour and 28 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's a very kinetic movie. It's very energetic. It really does not stop for a second. And so as a result, while I understand most of this universe, I don't understand other elements. like there's a twist at the end of the movie why Ethan Hawke's family is being invaded in the movie, and I mean, it kind of makes sense. It kind of doesn't. Like it just in this universe, you can kill anybody for one night. Like it would have probably been scarier if the people who are trying to kill him didn't have a legitimate reason.
Right.
I would say. So, but it makes me want to see the other ones just out of curiosity. My sister likes them, so.
Is the new one the fourth one or the third one?
It's a prequel, I guess. It shows you the first Purge.
But I mean, how many have they made? Have they made?
There's 3 so far. So this new one's gonna be the fourth one, but it's gonna be a prequel. So all that stuff. I rewatched Hitchcock, the Alfred Hitchcock biopic.
I love that movie
with Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren. I still think that's my favorite Helen Mirren movie of all time.
She's great.
Yeah, because I could say The Queen or Furious 8. You know, I could see all these things, but at the end of the day, like she's essentially managing to one up Anthony Hopkins playing Alfred Hitchcock by giving a better performance in a way. Like Anthony Hopkins is good in the movie, but she's great in the movie. So it's and I was thinking about it, like, because the first time I saw this was actually just before I went on for the first time with you guys. The comedic styling I enjoyed, but I did enjoy there's some dark elements, but it's primarily a comedy. And there's apparently another one that I need to watch on HBO called The Girl, which is about him making The Birds with Tippi Hedren, and it's Toby Jones playing Alfred Hitchcock. The only reason that I haven't watched it is apparently, like, I know Hitchcock had a thing for blondes and whatnot, but apparently in The Girl they just portray him to be an utter Harvey Weinstein-esque rapist. So, which I'm like, I'm fairly sure the man had no libido at this point in his life, and it's been attested to by several people in interviews. So you kind of made an exploitation film out of Hitchcock's life in that regard. But whatever. Also on the Hitchcock front, I finally saw the documentary Hitchcock Truffaut on HBO, which is about the very, very famous film schoolish book where Francois Truffaut, the film director from France, sat down and interviewed Hitchcock for an entire week, going through each and every one of his films up till that point in 1963. It's good, but it's good if you don't know what that book is. And I've read that book many times.
Yeah.
So, because it's essential. It's very essential. They don't play a lot of the interviews. It's really about helping you understand why that book is important and helping you, if you don't know who Hitchcock is, to introduce who he is. And if you certainly don't know who Francois Truffaut is, they give you an idea of what Truffaut's like. And there's a lot of, like, talking heads and whatnot. It's Martin Scorsese, Wes Anderson's interviewed in it. Yeah. Paul Schrader. Like, it doesn't break any ground or anything. Like, it would have been interesting to see, like, I don't know, if they had filmed the audio or recording of those interviews.
It sounds like it's more like a good introduction if you don't already know. If you're already in, it's not.
It's a great promo for a great book.
No, it's almost, in my opinion, kind of like that Spielberg documentary last year, where that, like,
yes,
I watch it and go like, yeah, this is like a pretty surface, like, hey man, Spielberg's great, and you're like, yeah, but okay.
It's like, yeah, but I knew this already.
Right.
I also saw a movie that Ryan put on his 1986 list called Night of the Creeps, which is directed by Fred Decker from the Monster Squad fame, and
RoboCop 3.
And RoboCop 3, and working with Shane Black, so he's
cool.
Shane Black cred. And it's a great movie. You would like this if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
It's an interesting film that manages to blend an alien movie, a 1950s axe murderer movie, and a 1980s zombie movie, all into one, and it's seamless, and it doesn't feel weird at any point except for the beginning, because the aliens at the beginning look very, very strange, and they are clearly midgets in costumes. Little people, sorry.
Yeah.
Watch my tongue. But Tom Atkins is in it, and he plays an alcoholic cop, because he's always an alcoholic everything.
Yeah.
That's Tom Atkins in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But he's... I always love him in Halloween 3, but I think I like him in this movie way more. Like, this is a fun performance. And it's got some great effects too. Like, I think it's got in a way, I think I like it more than Monster Squad to some degree. And I know that sounds sacrilege because Monster Squad's a great film, but I like this. I feel like this film is what Monster Squad was for me as a kid, this is for me as an adult. So because it's a little bit more leaning toward the darker side, and he's got cute little horror homages in there, like the characters are named after famous film directors from the 70s and 80s. So it's fun. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out on Shudder right now, the horror streaming service, which is only $5 a month. And the last thing I watched was something you loaned me. I'm not going to eat the fucking candy because I saw Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters for the first time.
Hell yeah, dog.
That movie has no right being that good. Seriously, it's a crime that movie is that good.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like, you walk out of that film and you're like, why did I just have fun for 2 hours?
Yeah, so, like, I'm not going to go too far into it because you've talked about it plenty of times, but if you don't know what this is, it's Hansel and the beginning of the movie is Hansel and Gretel go into the candy house, are enslaved by the witch, only to have them kick the witch's ass and put her in the oven.
Yeah, they get one up on the witch and like get behind her and shove her into the oven.
Yeah, and then
it goes into this like awesome
Sherlock
opening credits,
like Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes-esque like. So and it's funny, the music. So the music was like a combination of like what I felt was like Tim Burton and Hans Zimmer's score for Sherlock Holmes.
Yes,
and so
absolutely.
I was like wondering, well, sounds like, is this Danny Elfman or Hans Zimmer? It's got to be one of these two. And it's not them, but then there's a credit that pops up: music executive producer Hans Zimmer. So I'm like, what? Did you just supervise it and go more strings, more blah?
Yeah.
So it's basically now they're grown up and they fight witches with inexplicably big and hilarious guns and crossbows and stuff like that.
And their first line in the film is, "Let the girl go, or we'll blow your sheriff's brains all over these fucking hillbillies." And you're like, they walk in from another film. Like, it's basically if you took Van Helsing and then you had some badass, you had like Snake Plissken and somebody else, and like Girl Snake Plissken pop in from a different film. With literally, they have shotguns. Mm-hmm. Like, they have technology not of the time.
I don't know if I would call it a shotgun. It's like if you look at it closely, it looks like they taped a bunch of shotguns together,
right,
or tied them together with loose string or tight string. I don't know, to make a super gun.
Sure. So they use this
weird.
They use this shot-gun to kill things all the time,
mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing. It's exactly it. You didn't know how much you wanted this film.
So yeah, and the opening happens, and it's actually really well shot, and like it's so weird. It's like it's a great version of what I think the Brothers Grimm movie that Terry Gilliam did wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so like I'm wondering like who made this? Like, and then sure enough, executive producers Adam McKay and Will Ferrell. I'm like, oh, and sure enough, like when you get into the first scene, it sounds pretty much like an SNL sketch.
It's clearly
it's the premise of an SNL sketch that got expanded into a somehow very efficient and fun film.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where Jeremy Renner goes into the woods to look for Gretel, and he runs into the woman that he saved in the beginning, and he's like a loner guy, and he's just like, I work alone and whatnot, but then he's got to go bathe in the river for some reason, and this woman gets naked, and this Jeremy Renner just starts fucking her, and like, but then you find out that woman he just fucked is a witch, and he can't stand witches, guys.
But she's a good witch.
So yeah, but he's still conflicted because he's like, I had sex with a witch, but I hate witches.
You're pretending too hard that there's great character development here. Because
I want to know in my heart that Jeremy Renner sat down and prepared for this role like Daniel Day-Lewis does for everything.
No one was prepared for this film. They all walked in and were like,
and the troll is really cool too. And it's practical. Like
yes.
It's amazing.
It's really cool.
The only criticism I have is that in a movie that could be even bloodier, a lot of the blood looks extremely fake. Like it looks like it's After Effects blood.
It's totally After Effects blood. It was also released in 3D at the time. It was during that, so it was 2013, and it was during a time when everyone was converting stuff to 3D. So they wanted the blood to come at you.
Okay.
So
that's fine.
Yeah.
And then like also this was a great. I thought this was a very clever addition to the script. Is that so because Hansel when he was a kid was fed so much candy, he got sick. He got the sugar sickness.
But it's witch candy.
It's witch candy. No, I said, but I'm gonna just say, he has to inject himself every day, like every couple of hours where he dies. It's diabetes, guys.
Yeah.
They've managed to take the Hansel and Gretel and just poke all the holes in it. Like, if those kids ate that much candy, would they get diabetes?
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Oh, and the ending is awesome. And Famke Jameson's really good in it too. But
Great.
she came out of nowhere, and she's committing to it. That's the thing. Like, she's doing what she did for Dark Phoenix in The Last Stand,
Yes.
and realizing that she shouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, she's chewing scenery.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's a brisk watch. Like, it's a slick 80-minute movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's an extended cut, but if there is, I want to see it. I want to see what they would have cut out.
I think the Blu-ray is quote unrated, but it's like they put one scene in. Like it's not like there's anything great. I think there might be like
there's not
some
a
more
3-hour
blood.
version of this movie.
No, I think there might be more blood. There might be a little more gore in like the bar sequence at the beginning.
I mean, it's already rated
but,
R.
yeah.
I don't see how you could be any worse.
It was just, there's that thing where they think that if they put unrated on something that more teenagers are going to buy it or rent it or whatever. I don't know.
That's fair. And there's moments of it that truly look terrifying. Like when the kids are locked up in the cave and whatnot. I'm like, this is like extremely dark. Like, and you see like a bowl, like the witches eat the kids, like eyeballs, brains, and bloods and whatnot. They throw out a bowl of it, and it's right after a shot of these kids in cages. I'm like, this is all dark, man. Like, and but then we cut back to them being goofy and like hilariously like slow mo action sequences. Like it's really fun. I
awesome.
do recommend you watch this.
Some
film.
might say it's the number 10 best film of 2013.
Yeah, now I understand why you put it there. So
it's great.
I will never doubt you again until I do.
Really?
Until I do the next
Okay.
time.
Let me tell you about how bad There Will Be Blood is.
Yeah, so that's all I watched this week.
Cool. I only saw a couple of things, really only two that I'll talk about. The first one is I started watching Altered Carbon, the Netflix show.
Was that carbon altered?
Shut up. Just stop. It's the show. It's got Joel Kinnaman, who's the guy from The Killing. If you watched The Killing, anyway, it's
RoboCop.
basically. Oh, that's right. He was also in the RoboCop remake. Yeah. So this show wants so badly to be Blade Runner, like so bad, and I at least can appreciate that enough that like I think the show is pretty decent. I'm about halfway through the first season, and early on, I had a few things where I was like, ooh, like this, like there's this one woman who's you can tell like she's gonna end up being his friend, but she's also the cop who doesn't trust him at the beginning, and like I feel like her performance is pretty bad, and I kind of hate the way her character's written. But over time, like they start introducing some other friends, because the other thing is like, okay, let me give you some premise. So it takes place like 300 years in the future, and basically everybody has a disc in their neck that has all of your personality and all your memories in it. So if you die, other than that disc getting broken, if you get shot in the head or you get shot and bleed out, they're just going to pop that disc out of your neck and put you in a different body. If you're poor, they're just going to put you in any body they have available. So like there's even a shot in the first episode where he's like walking through a jail and he's just gotten a new body, and he's like this buff ripped dude, like because somebody rich wants him clearly, so they gave him like this buff body that's like trained in combat. He's actually like, from the flashbacks, he's actually like an Asian guy, but then they put him in Joel Kinnaman. It's a great metaphor for whitewashing. Anyway, so he's walking through this prison, and there's this old lady and her parents who are young show up, and you realize that like this little girl was killed, and the only body they had available was this sort of middle-aged woman. So they put this little girl, like 12-year-old girl, in a middle-aged woman's body because that's just what they had. Like the poor people just kind of get shafted with whatever's around. It seems like, I don't think this has been confirmed, but like if you're a criminal, what they'll do is they'll just pop your disc out and put you on a shelf for 200 years, and then they'll give your body away, and then in 200 years you might get a new body, and like that's sort of your punishment. So some of those bodies are, like in one of the episodes, a guy like comes back for a day or so, and he's in like this big thug body. So I think they haven't deliberately said that, but I think that's what they're insinuating. But then, of course, the rich all have these really nice bodies that they take, or they'll even have themselves cloned and backed up so that they can never die. And they're, so in this first episode, of course, what do you do in a story like that? Well, you go get this guy who's a badass from the past to solve a murder mystery because someone was sort of murdered, and the guy who hires, or the person who hires him, is the murderer. So this is where it's kind of cool. This is when I started to get into it. You learn this in the first episode, that the person who woke him up and gave him this nice body is like the richest dude in town, because he's backed up like every 45 minutes so that he can never really die. But someone murdered him, and so he doesn't know who, because he's just a clone backup from 45 minutes before his death. So he doesn't know who murdered him, and whoever it was might still be out there trying to really murder him. Because if you shoot them and you blow up the disc, then the person's really dead, you know? So he wants our Blade Runner dude to figure out, like, to solve this murder mystery, even though the guy is still alive. It's really kind of cool. But, like, some of the sci-fi-ness is kind of schlocky. They kind of turn a lot of things up to 11, so there's a lot of just, like, you know, him walking down the street, and there's just, like, you know, CG prostitutes, or, like, whatever, you know, everything is as extreme as they can make it. And sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's like, okay, whatever, like, just move on. But I would say I would recommend it. I think it's kind of cool. I'm excited to finish it and get to the end here in the next week or so.
Sounds like Blade Runner meets Get Out.
That sounds like Blade Runner meets Free Jack.
Yeah, it's really very Free Jack. And you just look at it at any time. There's a lot of over the shoulder, about 10 feet behind him, shots of him walking through a dark but very neon lit city at night, and sometimes it's wet. And you're like, okay, we get it. You guys really like Blade Runner. And that's kind of okay, because they're doing a decent job. Mm-hmm. There's definitely time. Oh, and then the other thing is, I was very afraid early on that he was just not going to have any friends. And I was like, dude, if your only way of characterizing this guy is through flashbacks, this is going to suck. And luckily, there's a lot of that. But there's also, like, they're starting to introduce some other, like, sidekicky people. But because he's been asleep for, like, 200 years, it's kind of hard to give him, you know, he doesn't have anybody. So they have to just introduce everyone. So it's growing on me for sure. And then over the weekend, so we went up to Fairplay and went, you know, hiking and doing fun mountain stuff during the day. And then in the evening, when it's dark and it's cold, you take a big stack of movies and you watch a movie in a cabin, and it's great. So I took a big stack, and Brooks and I have watched enough things that, like, there's some stuff that's fun left. You know, things that, like, I would need her to see, like Clue. So we watched Clue this weekend. But I've started slipping some weird shit into the stacks.
Tusk.
Just to see. Fuck no. Not ever. Not once. Just say no. I did put Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters in there, but we did not watch it.
Okay.
But we watched something almost as pleasantly surprising as Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. This is a film directed by a man named John Stockwell, who you may know from Blue Crush or Kickboxer Vengeance, the 2016 classic. Unfortunately, he's come down a long way since he made 2005's Into the Blue, starring Paul Walker and Jessica Alba. I own this movie, and I haven't seen it in probably 5 or 6 years, and I forgot how fucking decent this film is. Like, it's a fun adventure film. Now, you look at the cover, and you're like, this is just Jessica Alba and Paul Walker naked the whole time.
I just imagine you being like, this is going to mess with the stack so much. And they're like, oh, wait, this is decent. No, what was I thinking?
Yeah, well, and I slipped it in there thinking, like, this is a funny thing, but she'll never want to watch this piece of shit, because look at this cover. The cover is just Paul Walker and Jessica Alba in swimsuits, like, looking as sexy and greased up as they can.
Because they're about to go into the blue.
And yet, so Into the Blue tells the story of Paul Walker, who literally is so poor. How poor is he? His boat is just a sunk boat. Like, it's the saddest looking sunk boat it could possibly be. But he's a treasure hunter in his heart.
They all are.
So his girlfriend, they're already a couple, so you don't have to go through some annoying, like, romance story. His girlfriend is Jessica Alba, and she works at a, like, a zoo, like a marine biology zoo, and they live in the Bahamas. And she's big into sharks. So, like, at the beginning, like, she's petting sharks and teaching kids about how safe sharks are, and or, you know, how safe they can be. Like, they're not just out there to eat people all the time, you know. And then what's his name? Josh Brolin. So Josh Brolin's in this movie, which at the time this was made, Josh Brolin was that guy from the Goonies. Like, this was before he erupted again and became famous again. And he plays like this big time treasure hunter dude, right? So
he's like Sean Bean to Paul Walker's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Scott Conn comes in, and Scott Conn is Paul Walker's brother, and Scott Conn is like, "Hey man, I'm here. I'm like a defense attorney to drug dealers in Miami, and as payment they gave me like access to this big house and this like cool speedboat and shit." So they're out having fun and they're diving around, and they find some stuff. They find some things that make them think like, "Hey man, I think we found a treasure at the bottom of the sea." Right? But then while they're down there, they also find a plane. And the plane is full of cocaine. And it's right next to their treasure. And they're like, "Oh shit, what are we gonna do?" So they come up, and Jessica Alba, straight shooter, doesn't want to screw up at all. She's like, "No, man, we're gonna do what's right. Like, there's dead people in that plane. It's a recent crash. Like, we should report this." But Paul Walker's like, "Man, if we report this, then they're going to go down there and they might find our crash. Like, we need to find something that says what boat this is so we can lay claim to the find and then report the plane is there. Because it's clearly drug runners. Like, who cares about them? They're dead, But let's do this." So they agree. So they're digging down there and all that.
Drug dealers' lives matter.
But Ashley Scott, who is Scott Conn's like stupid girlfriend,
of course
she's the worst.
Yep.
And she steals some of the cocaine, and she goes because they don't have enough money to get like good equipment to pull up all their treasure, right? And they're having so much fun looking for treasure, but they're not very good at it yet because they don't have giant fans. They need giant fans. So she goes and she's like, "I'm gonna steal some cocaine and sell one block of cocaine to a drug dealer." Well, of course, the drug dealer she goes to try to sell it to, it was his cocaine in the first place. So now there's like. They start kidnapping Jessica Alba, and they start like doing all kinds of shit to fuck with Paul Walker's life, and he's doing his best to give a good performance in a silly adventure action movie, and it's pretty decent. And then there's a whole action scene at the end. I won't spoil the one cool twist about this movie, but there's a cool twist in this movie, and then there's a pretty good fight scene at the end where like Jessica Alba has been tied up, and she breaks herself free, kicks the shit out of a bunch of dudes, like doesn't get rescued by Paul Walker, not because he's not trying, just because like, I don't need to rescue her, she's gonna be fine. Like, she beats people up with tanks and shit, and it's awesome.
There's a deleted scene where she said, "Stop taking my hand," and that's where Daisy Ridley got the idea for the Force Awakens, right?
No.
Okay.
She can take it's great. Herself, man. It's fantastic. This movie is decently fun. Like, on a almost as fun as Sahara with Matthew McConaughey.
I saw it.
Maybe
once.
as fun as Sahara with Matthew McConaughey. It's just that the marketing was terrible, because the marketing was nothing but Jessica Alba doing this in the water. Which you can't see my hand on the podcast, but it was like she was swimming upward in a sexy motion, and like that was the whole marketing campaign for the film. Mm-hmm. But when I saw it, I was working at Blockbuster, I believe. And one of the guys there was like, "Oh man, you should check this out. It's pretty okay." And sure enough, I own it to this day because this movie is pretty okay. You should see Into the Blue.
I haven't seen it since the one and only time I saw it.
It's okay.
If I remember it correctly, I'd rather watch Sahara again.
No, you should watch them both. They're both good.
Okay, fine. I'll do a double feature.
John Stockwell deserves a better career than Kickboxer sequels.
The way you are describing it and my recollections of it, maybe Into the Blue should have been the Sahara sequel.
They're very similar. Like they're both fun and charismatic, and like they've got sort of a silly
we
plot
gotta get
to
that
them.
cocaine down at the bottom of that plane.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's some dumb bits, but it's mostly great.
There are things you can sniff, and there are things you can't. One of them you can't is that cocaine.
This week, we saw Cloverfield Paradox. The Cloverfield Paradox, a Netflix film. The Cloverfield Paradox, a Netflix film. That's what we saw.
A Netflix release.
Brad, should people see the Cloverfield Paradox, a Netflix film?
I don't know. I actually tried to watch it before I came to the podcast, and I fell asleep, I think, 5 minutes in.
Good answer.
So, not a good judgment I might be tired. It might be boring. I don't know. It's up to you guys to decide.
Okay. Zach, should people see Cloverfield, a Paradox movie?
Actually, a Paradox. So I've had a week to sit on this, unlike you guys. Frankly, at the end of the day, because it's Netflix, you watching it isn't going to break your wallet.
Right.
So the stakes are not high, guys.
True.
I enjoy it a lot more than I think other people did, but I will admit this movie's kind of a mess. Not kind of. It is a mess. But I think it's more fun than half the other sci-fi films I usually get in a yearly basis. Like it's more tolerable than A Life or
yes.
We're going to talk about it in spoilers, but I kind of like the way they approach their ideas more than Alien Covenant did. But there's a caveat to that, and we'll talk about it in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
But if we're talking in the span of Cloverfield, this needed to come to Netflix. This would not have I don't think I would have been angry spending $10, but I wouldn't have been happy either. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Maybe the discussion would have been worth the $10. I don't know. James, should people see the Cloverfield Parabola? Paradox, yes.
Yeah. So I was also going to give the same sort of caveat of it's free on Netflix, so fuck it, why not?
Compensated by watching a shit ton of Orange is the New Black.
But to say it differently, if my parents were going to watch this or almost anything else, would I tell them to not waste their time with this? Yes, I would. I think Cloverfield Paradox has some fun stuff in it. It has some ideas where as I was watching it, I was like, oh, that's cool, or that's cool. But it also has some things that are insulting to anyone who has watched a lot of sci-fi. If you know anything about space, regular things. There's things that this movie gets wrong in a way that is so stupid, it's surprising.
I imagined you seething with rage watching it.
yeah. There's we'll talk about it in spoilers. So if you're somebody who watches sci-fi movies and goes, that doesn't make sense, or that's not the way space stuff works, and that really bothers you, don't even touch this film. I think there's some really cool ideas. I also will say I hate everything that has to do with how this movie ties in with other Cloverfield films. This is them leaning way too heavily on that. 10 Cloverfield Lane is great because the only connection to Cloverfield is the mailbox. Nothing about that film ties to the rest of Cloverfield other than tone and a mailbox address. And all of the ways they try to make this universe a whole thing in this film is distracting and terrible and actually threatens to take away from the other great films, or at least one great film and one pretty cool, interesting film in the franchise. So I really hope that they go, for the next 2 Cloverfield films that they're talking about, one of which is already done filming, my hope is that they barely talk about Cloverfield in it, because I really like this as a Twilight Zone franchise and not some kind of weird we're tying it all together kind of thing. So anyway, here is the trailer. Brad, I'm sorry we're gonna spoil this shit for you, but
I'll do my best not to listen.
I know I'm gonna tell you it's not gonna fucking matter. So anyway, here's the trailer for Cloverfield Paradox in case you weren't watching the Super Bowl.
3. Morning, beautiful. 2. I'm getting sick of only seeing you on a screen. 1.
Please, God. Be on our side.
Standing by for your go.
Turn that shit on.
Fingers crossed.
It's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know what you feel? What the hell is happening? Please don't bother trying to find her. She's not there.
The Earth. It's gone.
It's big, blue, full of angry people. Keep looking, you'll find it.
My God.
So, I wanted to say because I'm glad you brought up 10 Cloverfield Lane, because I actually told one of my friends who doesn't have time to listen to the podcast,
Yeah.
Watch it if you want to. There's nothing I can tell you that would tell you not to, because at the end of the day, it's free on Netflix.
Yeah.
But 10 Cloverfield Lane, like outside of the mailbox and the possibility of whatever they're fighting in the distance being the monster or some part of this trans-dimensional nonsense, 10 Cloverfield Lane is good because it, besides all the great acting and story and whatnot, it has this ability to exist in a universe that doesn't need to be connected. And in this one, you're right. These connections that they make directly to the first one are a big distraction. If I was focused solely on the spaceship, I would have loved the fuck out of this movie. And I would have found better ways to defend it.
I think that's a little hyperbolic, because I think what I keep telling people is like, I want Cloverfield movies to be things that can stand on their own, but this movie still wouldn't stand on its own. Like, this movie without the Cloverfield stuff is too critically broken, or I would say especially the ending, if the ending is the way it was in the original God Particle scripts, then yeah, this movie was never going to work. Because I think the ending of this film is pretty damn insulting. It's and mostly because you have a character with a pretty good plot of it's basically it follows this woman named, what's her name, Hamilton? Hamilton.
Yeah.
So Hamilton is she's a scientist on this big satellite or space station for like 2 years basically.
Isn't it the International Space Station?
No. It's actually called the Cloverfield, which is dumb. So the space station has a giant hadron collider on it. Well, it's not a hadron collider because that's a specific collider. It has a giant particle accelerator on it.
It has a Cloverfield collider.
They're trying to make efficient fusion so that if you can make fusion efficient, you have an unlimited source of power. And there is an energy shortage on Earth that's going on. So like, there's all these tensions rising and all these threats of war, and so they're tasked with going up to space. Her and the rest of this team with going up to space on the station.
Russia and Germany
for 2
are back
years.
in battle.
Yeah, so for 2 years they're up there trying to perfect this system and get it efficient.
That's a pretty cool montage, by the way. I will say, I love that. That's a great way to show how much time has gone instead of dumping it in a bunch of dialogue, going like, "We've been here for 2 years, man. I don't know if we could keep doing this, man."
Yeah.
So like it was cut really efficiently. I loved it like from an editing perspective. I was just like, that's pretty cool.
It's a kind of weird film because so it starts with her just in a car on Earth talking to her husband, and he's encouraging her to go. Basically, she doesn't want to go because she doesn't want to like be away from him.
Which, by the way, that opening dolly shot was pretty fucking terrible. Like,
yeah,
it looked like what I would do on a skateboard when I was 10.
I'll just take this chance to say I think a lot of this movie is pretty terribly shot, and a lot of this movie, it's a good thing it went to Netflix because it looks like a straight to TV movie.
And I hate being like that critical of anything, because like at the end of the day, like I know how hard it is to make a movie, but
yeah.
That being said, J.J. Abrams is giving you money. Use a fucking dolly. Like,
yeah, it's just not.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Bad,
I'd like to know the story of how this thing got screwed up so much, because it feels like the level of quality that J.J. Abrams and Dan Trachtenberg brought to a little script in 10 Cloverfield Lane is completely missing here. And I don't know how they got so off track. So that opening scene ends up being relevant. So she's got this kind of cool story where her kids died in a fire because she installed some kind of power cell in the house, and then because of she was stealing energy from a neighbor basically, and that power cell broke and burned down the house with the kids in it.
Which I love that concept of energy, like the energy being like so low that you have to resort to that.
Yeah,
like those are like areas like I enjoy when we go down that road because it opens the mind up.
And it gives her a great story in this film, like a great character arc and a great character motivation in this film that I feel is genuinely squandered, especially in the third act of the movie, because she actually never gets to make any choices, which is pretty frustrating, at least not in the end. So they're spinning up this thing, and they finally spin it up, and they get it to be efficient for the first time, but it like freaks out, and it tears a hole in space-time and throws them into this other dimension. So all of a sudden they can't find the Earth, which is the first time this movie is fucking stupid, because they can't find the Earth, but later when they do find that hey, we found the Earth again, they say, oh, here, look on the other side of the sun. You had the sun, but you couldn't find the Earth. Excuse me.
I just imagined when I saw that, because I watched it literally the next day that it dropped, right?
Yeah.
So I'm imagining throughout this whole time, when I saw that they couldn't see the Earth, they're trying to look through all their cameras.
I was thinking it was like Lost in Space. They're like on the other side of a galaxy.
Yeah, exactly. But then when that whole thing happened, when it pops up, I just imagined, like, almost telepathically, that you're like trying to choke the television. Well, like you were, like, I imagine you trying to go in there and smack everyone.
Well, by the time they revealed that, boy here. By the time they revealed that, I had already kind of given up on the logic of this film, because they do it backwards. So they pop you in and they say like, "Oh, the Earth is gone," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." Theoretically, like, this could be that you just move through time, and that you're actually going to do a thing where you're like, "Oh, well, we moved through time, but the Earth and the solar system moved through the galaxy. So if you move through time, you actually are in a completely different place in space, right?" I thought they were going to do something like that, because that's what it seemed like.
But that's too intelligent for this film.
But the movie at this point still doing okay. Not shot terribly great. Not all the acting's great. Some of the writing is okay, but I'm like, that's all right. You got some cool idea here you're working with.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's some screaming. This is the coolest part of the movie. There's screaming on the space station, and they're running around there like, what the fuck is going on? And they find this panel, and they can hear screaming coming in from the other side. And you're like, holy shit, there's a fucking monster. Something's going to crawl out of there. Something bad is going to happen. And they open it up, and Elizabeth Debicki, who I knew was in this movie and was wondering how she was going to pop up, she literally is in the wall with, like, pipes running in and out of her body like she's been teleported into the wall.
I know, it reminded me of, like, a Cronenberg type of thing. Like that body horror.
Yeah.
What would you call it? Like a video drum?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, and it's really cool because of, like, the way it's shot. Like, I didn't see a rating on this, but I imagine it would have been nearing an R if they, or a very hard PG-13. But, like, it's pretty graphic.
It's kind of like a cool like a modern version of, Brad, what's that episode of Star Trek where somebody gets, like, teleported during a storm, and so they end up, it might be OG Star Trek, but they end up on the Enterprise, and they've got, like, sticks and twigs and shit, like, embedded in their body, and they fall over dead. There's a thing that happens at some point.
Yeah, I know.
I can't remember.
Over 170 episodes to
Oh, I know. But that you can. But you remember that shot and how disturbing that is. It's a similar kind of thing. You only get a few shots of her, and then they clearly saw her out and take her to the med bay and, like, have to pull. You know, I almost wish they'd spent a little more time on, like, hey, the doctor had to pull pipes out of your arms.
I just love the idea.
And then she's, like, up walking around 5 minutes later. It's fucking dumb.
Well,
but
again, near future, they're on a space station with the guard particle.
Sure.
Maybe they have technology to fix your skin like Dr. Zoidberg does on Futurama.
Take your cool foam electric metal shit and spray it. Like, have a white version and spray it on her and be like, hey, her body's better.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it was bad.
The metal foam thing.
They were so proud of the metal foam.
They were pimping that. Like, it was almost like, is this a commercial for something we're going to get in the next couple months?
Because I don't think it's that useful.
Is Abrams going into product marketing and getting away from movies after Star Wars? I don't know.
Weird.
Chris O'Dowd.
They were very proud.
And Chris O'Dowd's the one who's using it all.
Yeah.
And it's something I actually love.
He's from a different film.
He is. But here's the thing. So, like, he's using that metal foam stuff to fix repairs in the ship, right? And then suddenly...
Mostly just pipe joints,
but then
for the record.
Yeah, pipe joints, yeah. But
he likes to seal things.
Suddenly his arm gets pulled through the wall.
Yeah.
And I was liking where it was going for a second because it reminded me of
Event Horizon.
Event Horizon, and also this old pulp story that I read once where a guy tries to meld into the wall of a bank to go through the walls to get the money, and he gets stuck in the wall, and the whole story is about a woman visiting the wall and talking to it. It was a great story. I love it. I need to find it and send it to you. But so I thought, oh, wait, cool. Maybe they might do something with this, and then doesn't because it turns out that his arm was meant to do this. I don't understand the rules of this dimension.
Okay, so what happens is his arm goes through some kind of dimensional portal.
Right.
And gets severed dimensionally. So he has literally like meat and bone at the end of his arm, right?
And it's been cauterized, guys. There's no blood.
I guess
in this movie.
It's weird. But the wall also moves around in a weird way. Like the wall's attacking him, which makes no sense to the actual story they're telling.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like I heard a podcast today where they were talking about how creepy the scene was where the little dudes on the, that like soccer, the foosball. The little foosball dudes are all swinging around without it. I'm like, that makes no fucking sense. Think about what happens in this movie. Who's spinning those things? What is spinning those things? Nothing is spinning those things. What are we talking about?
Because, well, if it were to mean something to what's going on the ship, it would be a creepy and efficient moment.
It is.
But
when it happens, you're like, oh, man, what's going on this ship?
But it's one of many horror elements in this film that don't pay off in a horror film way, which is what you should do, because it worked really well the last time in the 10 Cloverfield Lane where he dumps a body in an acid barrel.
Yeah.
That's straight up horror shit.
Right.
This film falls so much back on its sci-fi and monster movie premise that it loses its potential to be not an Alien equivalent, but like a fun little Alien nod, why not?
I will say this movie might be better than Life.
Well, that's a no-brainer from the way you describe Life. I still haven't seen Life, but
and I make fun of Life a lot. My biggest part, the more I move away from this film, the more I think about it, the less good it can possibly be, because so much of what the movie doesn't make sense or undermines itself. So anyway, let's move forward in the plot.
Mm-hmm.
So his arm gets stuck in the wall, and then his arm shows up in a different hallway, crawling on its own.
That's a cool scene too.
It is, but it's not his arm. It's clearly the arm of a different dude, of a different version of him from a different dimension that has an answer to how they can find the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So they give it a pencil, and it's like writing, and it tells them something, and then they're like, the guy's like, oh, I know how to find the Earth.
Yeah, because there's this small subplot of someone being a traitor, but they're not.
Yeah, right,
so
yeah, because like the one German dude, like they're the guy who always plays a Nazi.
Daniel Brühl, he played Zemo.
Yeah, right. He always plays a Nazi. He in our version of reality, he's a good guy, but in this other dimension, they get emails that prove he's a bad guy or some shit. So that's just a red herring for a while. That's kind of useless. And then the hand gives them the information to look around the sun.
Yeah.
So then they figure out, okay, we're in this other dimension. Elizabeth Debicki is basically Hamilton from a different dimension where Hamilton stayed home because her kids didn't die.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome. This is the moment where you're like, oh, this is why you wrote this movie.
That's why I thought there's emotional crux here. Maybe something's going to pay off from all this silliness.
Here's this cool moment of she gets to decide, like, holy shit, I'm in a dimension where my family is whole. Now, I'm also alive, so that's too bad. If only I'd found a dimension where my family was whole but I was dead, that would be great. But so here's this really cool ethical sci-fi question. The reason I like watching sci-fi, like, this is it. You have wasted my time for 35 minutes, but you finally got, or, probably 45, 50, really.
I'd say 40.
Yeah, like
50,
it's like end of the second act by the time you figure this out. And then it just goes nowhere. Like, she decides she's going to stay, and then the rest of the crew ends up dying one way or the other.
It's just like, oh shit, we forgot we're trying to be a horror movie. Let's kill some people.
One dude randomly gets worms teleported into his body.
I actually thought that was pretty cool.
It was cool, but it
cool
doesn't
looking.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't, but
like,
I love the idea of that.
It has no ramifications on the story. It doesn't make sense with what's going on.
You know what they were doing on the set? They were like, you know what? We love Alien.
Yeah, we love it. It's totally just them doing
How
Alien.
can we do it different?
Yeah, well, what if like he shoots a bunch of worms out of his mouth?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not great. Also, why the fuck did you have so many goddamn worms on this ship?
Again, there's a lot of things that happen that aren't explained, like, in a way that's frustrating. Like, whereas in 10 Cloverfield Lane, because I don't know everything, it makes it a better film.
Yeah.
In this one, I need some answers. It's like sometimes how I feel with Lost or even a Prometheus, where I'm like, guys, you got to throw me a bone here, because I'm losing interest.
So, I mean, I obviously disagree with you, because both the arguments you made are both things that I love.
I love them
I understand
too.
where you're
I
coming
love them
from,
too, but it's always been a frustration of like,
Yeah.
stop giving me 5 more questions for every one you answer.
I don't necessarily need you to give me answers to everything. What I need is for you to A, respect me, B, respect your characters, and C, have this make sense.
Mhm.
So when the
Which
next...
it clearly doesn't follow any of those.
Yeah, then you have a character, Zhang Ziyi, who she...
I thought she was decent in the
She
film.
seemed decent. I mean, she's always speaking in Mandarin, which is kind of cool, right? And they don't always give you what she's saying, which is interesting. So they figure out like, oh, we think we can fix what's wrong with the collider or the particle accelerator, and so and she's got to like do some cooling shit. So she goes to this part of the ship, and the ship sort of breaks, and it fills her room, the modular that she's in, with water. And then everybody's on the outside like, oh no, we got to get her out. And then the door is cracking, and it barely cracks enough that it makes contact with space, and the entire module immediately freezes. Which is fucking not how thermodynamics in space works. Guys, a human body can survive in the vacuum of space for like up to 90 seconds. Like,
it's a death.
Oh my god, it's so stupid.
It's a death that's as dumb as stupid as something you'd see in Jason X.
Yeah, exactly. This is stupid space science from the mid 90s that everyone who has seen Sunshine already knows isn't true. Like, we all solved this when I was like 8, and everybody went to see Mission to Mars, and most people talked about the fact that Tim Robbins' death was wrong and not the way that space works. Like, your body cannot transfer heat out of itself fast enough to instantly freeze. Period.
Such a great poll,
Like,
by the way.
you are transferring heat into a lack of medium, which means that there is no transfer.
Right.
Like, it doesn't work.
So-
Anyway, so that happens, and that was the moment where I unplugged, because I was like, whoever wrote this knows so little about science fiction and has has not even done any studying about how this might work, so they have completely fucked up this movie. Like, I no longer had any faith in the people making it to make intelligent choices about how to tell this story.
I feel like he didn't know how to make a complete sci-fi movie, and he didn't know how to make a complete horror movie. So he thought he'd combine the two, but he doesn't know how to balance the two. And we have to remember that as this is happening, we're cutting back to Earth, where Hamilton's husband is on his way to the hospital, and then sees a kid in the wreckage.
He's a doctor.
There is a cool shot, though, of the Cloverfield monster in the smoke.
Yes.
Which I thought was great.
Yeah, because they basically are just intimating that, like, whatever this thing that she did has torn open this space, and there's dimensional creatures in a Watchmen-esque kind of way that are rampaging around there. And you kind of knew then, like, oh, I bet one of them will be a Cloverfield monster.
Yeah.
And that'll sort of be your thing. But don't you dare try to tell me that this universe, like, this is the reason why the Cloverfield monster popped up in the other one, or what. Just don't do that.
Yeah,
no one needs that.
So, I mean, and honestly, like, what they're cutting back to isn't a bad plot line. It's just, I want it in a different movie. I don't want it in this movie.
It doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, and I don't want you to distract me from the space movie, because if you're distracting me from the space movie, you're taking away from the claustrophobia that you could be inciting.
Yeah.
Within the space movie, because if I'm just on this ship for 95% of this movie, it makes it just as uncomfortable. Like, I'll admit,
Yeah,
I'm a sucker in that regard. Like, when I watch an alien movie, like an early alien movie, I guess I should say, when they're not really necessarily going on land. Yeah, I feel tension even knowing everything I know, because I'm trapped on that ship.
Right.
Or in the same way where I'm like, I'm trapped in this suburb in Halloween, or I'm trapped in this camp or this summer camp in Friday the 13th. You know, like, regardless of how goofy things have been in retrospect, the idea of being alone with no real place to go for help.
Yeah.
And, like, when you cut away from that, it just, any effective tension is ruined for me.
Yeah.
Because I know that the universe you've created is a safe space.
Yeah.
In that regard.
Or at least, it takes away from that claustrophobia. I would agree.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
again, like,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, didn't even mention the fact that before the worm guy dies, apparently the worms make him go crazy, tell him to create a gun, and then maybe go shoot some of his fellow astronauts.
Oh god,
that doesn't make any sense.
This movie reminds you that 3D printers exist and they can create weapons
and bagels.
Oh yeah,
that was cool.
Actually, yeah, I was like, I want that bagel.
I like
machine.
the fact that she could 3D print a bagel. That was awesome.
And that bagel looked delicious.
Yeah, it was weird because it was like flat.
Yeah,
it had clearly not risen. It had been printed.
It's a future bagel.
Yeah,
James.
that was dope. No, yeah,
Einstein's future bagels.
So yeah, he 3D prints a gun. So that now there's a gun in the ship, and like he tries to shoot somebody, but like doesn't really kill him. And then
it reminds me of that gun that John Malkovich made in The Line of Fire.
Yeah.
Why did you shoot that duck, you asshole?
So, anyway, we'll skip over a bunch of other people die for random, stupid,
and then
shitty
Elizabeth
reasons.
Debicki does.
She goes crazy. She gets the gun. Well, she doesn't even go crazy. She has a rational, good argument, which her argument is: when your space station came into my dimension, you threw my space station into the water. I got teleported into yours somehow. Space timey-wimey shit. That's fine. I'm good with that. But her ship crashes, so that means that their magic solution to save the Earth, her version of reality does not have a savior anymore. Like, they don't have a way to create unlimited energy. So she's like, the only thing for me to do is kill all of you, take over this ship, and use this ship to save my loved ones and the people that I care about. This is, again, great science fiction.
But it doesn't go anywhere.
So here you can see, like, you pit her, who has a really good argument, against Hamilton, who now she has to make a decision. Is she going to side with this woman and live in a world where her children are safe and alive, or go back, stop this woman, and maybe try to find a way to save her children in this dimension, and then also go back and save the version of reality she knows, thereby theoretically coping with the damage that she's gone through in her life. Obviously, you want her to do the second one, right? She ends up not really getting to make a choice. Like, she does it, but there's not like a great moment where she has to come to a realization and get some closure and
it's done more out of
settle with
it's done more out of fear and panic than it is
Yeah.
out of contemplation.
Right, exactly.
Which
and I think a realization of like, oh well, there's a mother here too.
And I think, now granted, in the movie's defense, I think it's hard with the Cloverfield movies. However deep they've been able to get, they still, at the end of the day, are a very modern product that needs to excite the audience. And
Sure.
I think that in trying to do a thoughtful story, they also had to contend with the fact of speed it up. Let's get to the end.
But
I'm not saying that's the
there are so many things wrong with this movie that's not the reason why. Like, so many things here don't make any sense. And then, so it's not that like, oh, we've made all these mistakes, and then when we could make a good choice and have there be some character development here, we just made another bad choice. Like, that one thing is not the reason why this movie is broken.
I wonder if, like, I know this is the fanboy theory of the last year and a half, but like, is there a longer, better version of this film? Or, but based on this whole, like,
I don't think so.
Based on everything that I've heard through production and reshoots and whatnot, I don't think it was there's a better version of this that got caught up. I think that this is just, maybe there was a good script that got cut up.
Maybe.
Because,
yeah.
I mean, there's got to be a reason Bad Robot bought this script.
I know. I mean, that's the thing that I want to hear J.J. Abrams explain what the fuck he was thinking. Because this one is seemingly so bad that I just don't understand it. I don't know how a guy who is so logical and sticks to the rules and has his scripts have everything have a reason and is a action scene every 10 pages kind of guy, how do you have something as completely illogical as the whole worm sequence thing even be here? How does no one look at that and go, this makes no sense to the story we're telling, it has no effect on the film, it's yes kind of creepy when it happens, but ends up leaving you completely unsatisfied and really just drags this out.
When did they shoot this? Do we know?
In the last 2 years.
Maybe he was like barely involved in this one compared to the other ones because of Star Wars.
It could be.
Not trying to blame Star Wars for everything, but
yeah, exactly. How involved he is, but you have to think at some point someone pitched him the story, and
yeah. I mean, and that last shot was.
Yeah, so then you get to
both
the end,
cool and
it's insultingly stupid.
Yeah,
because
but as its own shot, I liked it. But
sure,
because it looks cool. But just because it looks
I don't even
cool
think it looks like
doesn't
cool.
mean it is cool.
But so then it ends. She comes back. So she sends a voicemail to herself in the other dimension, telling her exactly how to solve, recreate this collision so they can create fusion and hopefully save that Earth. And then she goes back to her own reality, and she's like, "Oh man, we know how to save it," or whatever. Like, bah, But they get in a ship and fly back to Earth, cause, rather than theoretically they should just stay up there and get that thing humming so they can get a bunch of energy going, and then power the Earth somehow or something. But whatever. They come back down to Earth, and as they're doing so, her husband's on the phone. And with somebody, he's like, "Don't come back! Tell her not to come back because there's fucking monsters everywhere."
In the tradition of Halloween 3, where Tom Atkins goes, "Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!"
So, okay, going back to our emotional arc for this character is she's going to get faced with this opportunity of do I go back to a world where there's a lot of heartbreak because I've lost my children, but that's my home and that's my real reality, or I have this opportunity here where my kids are alive. Do I cope with this thing? And then we not only spit in that character's face, but also honestly in the face of the audience, and have this stupid fucking ending where it's just, they land on the planet, and like a really bad ending to an episode of Black Mirror, there's fucking giant monsters. Everything's bad. Credits, guys. Hope you liked it.
I didn't feel angry when I saw that, but I felt disappointed. I was like,
yeah.
Oh.
By comparison to think back on
that would have been a cool shot for the end of the
amazing.
new Godzilla movie, but no.
Remember how good 10 Cloverfield Lane keeps going, and you're like, why is the movie still going? She's out of the bunker and she survived the aliens. And you're like, why is she in the car again? I don't understand. And you have that moment where she makes that personal choice and goes, I'm not running anymore. Now I'm a hero. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to go fight. This is who I am now.
Whereas
that's awesome.
Whereas these characters have no choice.
Right.
Which I don't understand why they don't have choices.
If I were to say that there was anything good about, I would almost say that one of the themes of Cloverfield is sort of that last moment of acceptance and changing and being like, okay, this is what I want to do now. Whether it's we're going to die together because I'm tired of being apart from you, like in the first Cloverfield, or it's, hey, I'm going to go be a hero. I'm tired of being afraid all the time. This one is, I'm going back to Earth because I saved it. Oh shit, there's monsters. Credits. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's not a good ending. It doesn't satisfy that character arc that you already squandered. The more I think about this movie, the more it is really, really terrible.
I know.
And honestly, the more I understand why. I think Bad Robot looked at this thing and went, dude, guys, Netflix said they'd pay us $50 million, and they went, dude, get them to write that check right now because we're not going to get $50 million in the box office. Mm-hmm. You put this thing out, the word of mouth on this is going to be poison because this film is bad.
I would say though, if you've got nothing better to do, if you got an hour and a half or an hour 45 to kill, and you've already seen everything else, then yeah, go watch it.
Yeah. It's got some cool ideas in it.
It's as entertaining as watching. I equate it to, because I wonder how we'll look on it, say maybe 10 years later, in the same way that I look at an old horror movie.
Bad.
Where I'm like, yeah, this is bad, but I had fun with it, Whereas right now we're immediately reacting, and we live in a fanboy world where all our fanboy dreams are true, and so we overanalyze a lot of things in that respect. Now, granted, though, but let's say 10 years later, maybe I'll sit down and watch this again and be like, it wasn't that bad, I guess. Especially since we got My Little Pony 5 last year. Again, this is future Zach, but anyway.
Yeah,
I think if you've got nothing else to do, go ahead. If you're that curious, I think is the better way to say it. If you are interested in J.J. Abrams, Cloverfield and whatnot, then yeah, of course you're going to watch it. But,
yeah. So. If so, you've already watched it.
Yeah.
I this is not me being fanboyish and getting everything I want. There are so many quantifiable broken parts of this film.
No, I know. I'm pointing out the.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, but.
Cool.
Yeah. No.
What are we seeing next week, guys? 50 Shades Freed?
I know we've gotta go to Wakanda, man.
Oh shit!
And I think Corinne wants to be on.
Oh, cool.
According to the messages that I read.
Sweet.
So
hopefully we can.
But
make that
maybe
work.
we should also be freed of our 50 Shades for some entertaining banter.
It's not actually happening this week. It's going to happen like 2 weeks from now.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Anyway, yeah. So next week we're going to see Black Panther.
Yep.
Brad, should people see Black Panther?
Damn it. Go ahead. Throw it in our faces. Throw it in our faces. You hear that, Ryan? They're mocking us.
Anyway.
Are we really, we're going to wait till then to talk about it?
Sure, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and yeah, so we'll see you all next week.
Wait, really quickly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you something. So I didn't post this because I want you guys to look it up at some point. So I showed my nephew a little Sesame Street video, and it was a Star Wars parody called Star S'mores.
Okay.
And in the parody, Grover plays Yoda, so they put blue long ears on Grover.
Cool.
But Grover sounds like Yoda, number one, because they sound alike. But number two, Yoda's already a Muppet. Why didn't Sesame Street just call up Lucasfilm and be like, hey, can we borrow that Yoda puppet? I'm just saying, is Kathleen Kennedy holding Yoda back from his potential to be a versatile actor?
Was this recent?
It is a recent one, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's like on the
more. I was thinking like, oh man, like.
And don't get me wrong, it's got great puns. Like,
I want to know whether or not Grover was originally voiced by Frank Oz.
He was.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so
that's awesome.
It's the same person.
That's great.
My question is, why didn't they just get Yoda? He's already a Muppet.
Because that's more fun. Grover's dressed up like Yoda.
And once more, they're self-aware because Cookie Monster, who's playing Han Solo, who he's called Flan Solo, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's about desserts. And he looks at Grover as Yoda and goes, you look familiar and sound familiar. And I'm like, oh God, Sesame Street's self-aware.
That's great. That's really good.
It's adorable. My nephew loved it. But
that's awesome.
It frustrated me because when you look at Grover in the Yoda thing, he almost looks like Yoda. So it's just like, it bothered me for some reason. I sent it to my uncle who's a Star Wars fan. I'm just like, explain this shit to me.
What's the short called?
It's called Star S'mores.
Okay, I might look that up.
The lesson is about self-control, so that Cookie Monster doesn't eat his best friend Chewie, who's a cookie.
Aw, that's great.
Yeah. Awesome. Anyway, I just wanted to tell that little story.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That sounds adorable. Sweet. All right. Till next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Brad says bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Real Nerds Podcast. Real Nerds Podcast is a production of Nebulous Visions Multimedia. Thank you to Sparks Mandrill and Plan 9 Studios for our kick-ass theme song. Also, if you're in the Denver area and you're looking for a cool place to see movies, we see them at the Alamo Draft House in Littleton and now also in Sloan's Lake. Thank you to Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics for supplying us with all our comic needs, especially you, Andrew. You know who you are. And a big shout out to James's mom. I'm giving you an electronic hug that you can feel through the airwaves. Thanks for listening, and have a nice day.